20
decide
minutes.
they don't want to, but we've already answered the question.
That's fine, but I think we expand the time to give everybody an opportunity to speak.
So we keep the 5 minutes per, we assume 20 people.
3 to 5. I think that's fair enough.
Well, I think unless they're being redundant or abusive or whatever our policy is, then we should stick to our policy regardless of how many people are here.
Well,
they all have something to say.
so
the policy per person.
Yeah, but you'd have to expand the total time. And I think that's reasonable. But I think the sooner we start that,
Yeah.
because I'm going to need to take a bathroom break pretty quick. If we don't.
Can we leave the time?
Yeah, I'm a little bit older than some of these other folks.
Why don't we leave the time open-ended on the then total, we'll limit it to 5 minutes per.
I think that's fair.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Everybody okay with that? All right, Mike, you're up. And by the way, since there was some confusion about this at the last meeting, in 4 minutes, I will give you a little eye sign.
Great. Thank you.
1 minute to go.
I wrote a lot of things down to kind of not miss anything, but I want to bridge off what Mike just said and what was talked about with multi-age. My kids are in multi-age. I know there is people knocking at the door at Greentown right now to try to get into multi-age. First grade right now, we're at capacity. We have that, and it's a great program. And the idea, honestly, I haven't thought about this for a multi-age program in the K-5 program, but by putting that in, I've heard a lot of people talk about Orchard Hill and Claremont not having the same opportunities as Northwood and Greentown. And you would be able to level size that a little bit and also break bubbles, as I think, Chris, I haven't seen the numbers to see how that would work out, but it sounds very logical that you would have a similar number of teachers as well as potentially add multi-age to our southern schools and allow for equal opportunities for all of our kids. So I wanted to preface this by saying, and I'll try to get through this, during the month of April I was chosen as one of the parents on the review team. Mike reviewed this team and he said in that document that, quote, all the logistics and merits of each plan will be reviewed. I think, to be blunt and honest, since we did see that the room numbers were just finalized here on April 12th, and this happened at the end of March, April 5th, and then April 13th, that didn't happen. And I wanted to try to perform an audit type review, because that's my background, to, as Mike's been said a lot of times, nail it. We want to nail it. We want to understand all the cost and everything about it. So, since again I don't have a lot of time, I'll just try to hit some bullets here. I'm really troubled by the fact that on April 5th we were requested to submit questions. I do have a copy of an email right here that I sent to John, Peggy, and Mike asking for the details that I guess Chris and some of the board members have now about the rooms. During my presentation to try to show how the 11 and 12 numbers could equally set, that was talked down and actually belittled basically to me on how that would work out. I used the February 8th. I guess that is no longer a valid spreadsheet. I still have not gotten that room sheet. Maybe I'm not privileged to it. Maybe I don't need to have it, but I have asked for it. Maybe Kristen asked for it. I have asked for it officially. I have the email if you want to see it. But I have still not gotten that information. I'm concerned really when we start looking at the details. We got our teacher reviews. I looked at that. I work with statistics all the time. Our first through third grade teachers who have faced pay freezes for the last several years and to now face a pay freeze right now, 80% of those first through third grade teachers said they supported the K-5 plan, even though the dollars far outweigh the ESP, and it was obvious to them that the administration wanted the ESP plan. I still go back to Timken. I don't have a problem with being outspoken about that fact. I'm very troubled, as it's been brought up today, that in a society that's trying to go green, this ESP plan is going to add 50,000 more miles, over 50,000 more miles, to the streets of North Canton, increasing our carbon footprint in here when you don't have to in a K-5 plan. And 50,000 miles for those at home, it's about 2 times around the equator. Concern for the Claremont community that have these walkers. It's funny you should say that. They have these walkers today. Over 200 kids walk. And these kids that don't see buses going around their neighborhoods today, except for a kindergarten bus, will now have buses going through their community, increasing risk and so forth. And they also, those logistics were never shared with us in the review team. So how that works, I still haven't seen. Concern for the kids who will spend more than 80 hours on the bus every year, just doing the shuttle commute. And over 3 years, obviously that's almost 10 and a half days of their lives 24-hour days of their lives will be spent on a bus just shuttling between schools. And with even more budget cuts potentially coming here July 1st, I'm very concerned that we're trying to make a hasty decision right now to force in new programmers when if you Google kindergarten, all-day kindergarten cuts, you'll see many districts are trying to take that program out. I ran some quick numbers and saw that if we implemented an all-day, every other day program, which I know isn't even on the topic here, but I'll say it anyway, we implemented an all-day, every other day program versus the ESP plan would save almost $1 million. 1 minute, thank you. Finally, back in November, again, I might get in trouble for saying this, but it's just the words that have been said out here. Back in November, our community supported these schools by passing a levy in one of the worst economic times in history. We were saying at that time, keep up the good work you're doing. We like what's going on here. Keep it up. Now we are currently facing a position where we're going to change everything on its foundations. Mike said in his quote in trying to support the levy, this levy is not to invest any additional programs or lofty planning, strategic investment to protect what has been grown and nurtured over time, the sacrifice of many before. With the right motivation and cost, especially with potentially looking to add not one all-day, everyday kindergarten, but potentially 2 programs with multi-age in our southern schools, we can make both systems work and we can make K-5 work with actually 2 programs being implemented. Thank you.